none, we will have the invocation. Mr. Bailey.
Would you pray with me, please? Heavenly Father, dear Lord God, we thank you for today. Lord, I do want to lift up the family of the student that was killed last week. Everybody that was involved with that, the tragic loss so early in life, and our thoughts and prayers go out with the family, everybody that was involved in that. Lord, I do lift up our schools, our teachers, our students, our parents, everybody that it takes to make our school system go. Lord, these are difficult times. There's so many questions without a whole lot of good answers. Lord, we depend on you for guidance and for wisdom.
Yes.
Lord, I just ask you to be with us as we make decisions tonight. I ask you to be with the people that's going to speak to us tonight, Lord, that their thoughts and are made clear, that, Lord, that we all be receptive to hearing one another. Lord, just be with us as we try to navigate these difficult times. Lord, I thank you that you love us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I realize that we have a policy of everybody has to wear a mask all the time. However, we're socially distanced in this room, and it's going to be very hard for people who are joining us tonight to hear us. So when you have something, when you want to participate in this tonight, if you please take your mask off. And as we did last week, please just say your name so that the people who are Zooming with us tonight will be able to know who's saying what. If you could do that, that would be great. All right. Thank you. We have the approval of the minutes from the 8/4/20, 8/5/20, and 8/25/20 meetings. So I know that you've received those and had time to review those. So at this time, I'll take a motion and a second to approve those minutes. Ms. Kelly, was that you? Said you make a motion? And Ms. Maloof, is that right? Okay, very good. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Dr. Huff, I see your hand out there in Zoom land. Thank you.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
All right. Committee reports, we don't have any this month. Superintendent's recognitions we do not have, but we do have some requests to appear before the board. So at this time, we'll do that. I have a list of folks here. We did this in alphabetical order. So, and I know that you've all received the instructions from the superintendent. You'll have 3 minutes each to speak, and there is a timer, right? So you'll know how much time you've got there.
You need to get approval on the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. Approval of the agenda. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. I walked right past the approval of the agenda for tonight. Sorry, guys. You've seen the agenda, so we need a motion and a second.
Second.
I saw Mr. Bailey's mask moving earlier, so he
Yes,
made the
ma'am.
motion. Ms. Bramlett made the second. All those in favor? Thank you. Okay. All right. First request to appear before the board is Ms. Catherine Hill. Hi.
Good evening.
Thank you for being here tonight.
Sorry. My main thing is here to advocate for in-person because of mental health. Mental illness affects millions, and we're adding children and adults to that each day that we're not in school. The social interaction teaches the children how to process their emotions. Students are angry and confused, and then they're sad, and then they're depressed. And they internalize that in fear and anxiety, and they don't know what that is. It's hard to explain, just like this virus, it's hard to explain Even to us adults, it's hard to explain. I'm 37. I don't know, what's going on. I've never lived through anything like this. I want the kids to get back to normal. They need the love and compassion from their teachers. They need the socialization to thrive and be productive. They need to be at school 5 days a week. The school is separate from home. The home is supposed to be a sanctuary. It's supposed to feel safe and loved and have fun. That's what my little girl said. She was like, Mom, it's always supposed to be fun. So she's a little stressed out as well as I am. I do want to thank the teachers. Her teacher is great. They're trying their best, even through like internet outage and all that. The teacher is not letting the kids see her frustration. She's being really great about that. And I do want them to know what a giant impact they have on our kids and us as well. We appreciate them so much. And it's such a hard job. I could never do it. I really, really appreciate them. And just for them to know that there are kids, essential workers. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Next, we have Ms. Susan Hughes.
I'm gonna take this off or my glasses are gonna fog up. All right. So I don't want this to come out as an attack on anybody, but there's obviously issues we need to get down to. 75% of the parents in Barrow County requested that their children attend in-person learning effective 8/4. And according to the organizational chart of Barrow County, the citizens of Barrow County are at the top of that organization chart, followed by the Board of Education and then the superintendent. But only 3 board members listened. The question is why? According to the Georgia School Board Association and the ethics brochure, the school board's duty is to build trust and respect in the school district, follow the chain of command, have the ability to separate personal agenda from the work of the board, adhere to the board's code of ethics and conflict of interest policies, and keep students' achievements at the forefront of the decisions, and hold the superintendent and staff accountable for reaching the agreed upon goals. So back to the why. Was it because board members are unable to separate their personal agendas, their personal relationships with employees, Barrow County school system, employees, family members, friends, or that of business from the school board? Or was it they didn't keep the children's interests at the forefront? Children with no assistance at home, children with no internet access that are expected to go and sit in a parking lot to do their work, or children that just don't learn digitally? Or did the Board of Education not hold the superintendent accountable for the agreed upon goals, which was getting our children back into schools? The pandemic started in March, yet on 7/20, it was decided that the school year needed to be postponed for 2 weeks to prepare for in-person learning. What was it specifically that you needed to prepare for that you didn't know in March? Were supplies not on hand? Did the superintendent and employees not do what they needed to do in order to prepare for in-person? If that's the case, it's the Board of Education's duty to hold those people accountable. And I'm going to ask for an investigation into that if necessary. What was done? When was it done? And if it wasn't done before it was needed to be done, why not? I'm also going to point out to the superintendent that it's your job to fight for the children of this county. All children, the children that don't have parents to stand up here and fight for them. And on the meeting on 8/5, you stated, and I quote, that you would not have signed your contract if you knew this was coming. And I'm going to ask the board that is that the attitude of a superintendent? Is that what we want running our county? I'm also going to ask that the citizens of Barrow County, or as a citizen of Barrow County at the top of the organizational chart, that my children return full-time on 9/8. If it's okay for the teachers' children and the employees' children to return full-time on 9/8, then it should be safe for all of our children. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Ms. Samantha Lee.
Good evening. I'll go ahead and say I'm not a speaker, so everybody bear with me. I'm here to voice my frustrations over the decision to delay in-person learning to 5 days a week for our county and my kids. I have elementary school age kids. I'm not here to argue about the COVID data or DPH or the school systems tracing efforts, but I want you to look at other recommendations that have been made. I'll start with the CDC guidelines for closures of school regarding COVID-19. Short-term closures, and when you look at short-term, 2-week, 4-week, and 9-week, if you look at the summer, it's been over 9 weeks, will be unlikely to stem the spread of the disease or prevent impact to healthcare systems. It also, social mixing among children is still going to occur outside of the schools, and there's less ability to monitor. There's an increased risk to seniors with comorbidities because 40% of grandparents provide childcare when the schools are out. Key services for students are interrupted. She brought up mental health. Economic impact grows with the length of closure. And this is the last key point is big for me, but research from school staff tells us that schools find closures more acceptable when other events, gatherings, and facilities in the communities are also closed or canceled. Why are our daycares open? Why are the private schools open and operating while our school system is not? Why is the rec department open and operating when our school system is not? It says that families need to know who's making decisions, and also when there's a migration effort, when it starts and when it ends. We didn't know until Tuesday last week when our kids were going back to school. At a 5th grader, there was no date until last week. You are federally mandated to provide equal education access to all students within the county. I understand you're not responsible for COVID-19, but you are responsible for responding to it. Barrow County students do not have the same educational opportunity access as surrounding counties right now. Surrounding counties are open and operating 5 days a week within the same health district with similar COVID data. The Georgia Department of Education gives districts no COVID data reporting numbers to go by. What's the recommendation of our health district, of our state epidemiologists, and the epidemiologists of our district? I actually talked to them today. They work 2 weeks behind, so the data is not accurate. In mid-July, they were down, is what I was told. I can give you the references for that if you want them.
Ms. Lee, I hate
I'm
to
done.
cut you off, but
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. All right, next we have Laura Morris.
First, I want to say thank you for setting a date, at least next week, for these kids to get back in, because that is why we're all here, to advocate for kids to be back in school. I'm an honors graduate from Georgia Tech back in the day, and I cannot learn online. I've tried. I've done a couple of classes. I end up skipping all the way to the end to take the test, get a B because I test well and don't learn anything. So think about all the intelligent kids that might be in the same boat, the average kids that are probably not learning online, the under average kids that are really probably not learning online. I've put 4 kids through this county. My youngest is a senior, but I'm actually here as my role as a student mentor to advocate for those children. I've been a mentor for over 10 years. There are so many hurting and struggling and neglected children that are not getting any help right now. There are kids that have probably been sitting at their home for 6 months and not left. So imagine that. School was their safe place. School was the place that someone said their name, probably the only place they heard their name. School was probably the only place where they got a smile or a hug. And those are the kids that I'm advocating for. There's been a couple of pictures going around on the internet from kids in our county sobbing, sitting, trying to do work, sobbing in front of the computer. And those are kids with good parents helping them. Can you imagine the kids who have no parents sitting there helping them? they need to be in school. Right now, this country is taking flawed data that we know is inaccurate. It's incomplete. That it's changing on by the day, and we're forcing mandates that have not been proven to be effective. And all of it's based on fear. Kids are not scared of death. Why should they be? Us parents, most of these parents in this county, we're not scared of death. We're not scared of this virus. Why should we be? It has a 99.996% success rate. But yet, right now, our high school athletes are scared of making a choice to go back to school because they might miss their games, be quarantined and miss their games. And they're scared of the virus. They're scared of missing their games. We have parents that are choosing to not send their kids back because of the mask mandate. We're not scared of the virus. They're scared of the mask, or they don't agree with the mask. So we have got to quit the fear agenda, which is exactly what the media is promoting, a fear for us. Are we creating a fearful and uneducated generation by all of this? This is the generation that's going to protect us when we're older, that's going to protect this country, that's going to take care of us, that's going to lead us. But are we creating a fearful and an uneducated generation by doing that? My God is still on his throne. My God is still in control. And my God has not given me a spirit of fear. He's given me a spirit of discernment to know when things are not right. And he's given me a voice to voice when I need to encourage others. And that is what I am praying actually for each of you in this room, that y'all can make the right decisions and not make decisions based on fear. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Miss Christina Pringleton.
Forgive me, I teach pre-K and this mask has been giving me a headache all day. I want to start by saying, Ms. Bramley, you and I had a run-in years ago. I'm very angry that you're not standing up here sitting on this board, supporting and advocating for the students of the county. And I hope you will respect, as you once politely stated in a graduation speech, that you respect the parents showed up today advocating not for our children, but for every student and family in this county. My son is autistic and struggles naturally with social skills. His IEP clearly states that he will increase his social emotional skills to a more age-appropriate level by mastering his short-term objectives. This goal cannot be met with 2 days a week in school, and it cannot be met online. He needs the face-to-face interaction. It doesn't really address the academic concerns either. My daughter is now a 4th grader. She has been struggling to stay on grade level year after year, and prior to the state mandated closure of the schools, for which you all had no control over, we were working to have her diagnosed with a learning disability. That has once again been placed on hold. She sits at home, not doing her work. She screams, she cries, she's so frustrated. She is diagnosed with anxiety and depression. Did you know that social relationships have short and long-term health effects, for better and for worse, on children? They start in preschool and they go through life. Thanks to the decision from most of the board and Dr. Carmichael, these children, I'm sorry, Dr. McMichael, my spell check is still wrong. There are children from all grade levels all over this county who are now suffering from these same effects, and it's not okay. And that's on you. It really is. We are here begging to return to school, full in person, 5 days a week, effective next week, September 8th. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Amanda Santos.
Good evening. I wanted to talk to you guys on 3 basic points that we have experienced in my household as a result of being quarantined and, not quarantined, excuse me, didn't mean to use that word. As a result of being reduced to virtual learning. Nobody in my house has been quarantined, for the record. Just want to say that. First, social interaction. Second, losing monumental educational skills. And then also the security of the system. My daughter is in 2nd grade at Bramlett Elementary. And she is everything that Bramlett stands for. They have a pledge. It's called the Eagle Pledge. Eager to learn, acting responsibly, giving respect, listening and following directions, encouraging others, and soaring above the rest. If you could see my daughter, that is her to a T. The three in the middle, acting responsibly, giving respect, listening and following directions, we teach that at home. That comes from home. And my daughter's a wonderful student. Eager to learn, encouraging others, and soaring above the rest. She has to get that at school. And she loves it. She loves every minute of it. Bramlett is a wonderful school. She needs the other kids to encourage. She needs to be around them. They need to be around her. Her first day of school this year was horrible. She could not even force a smile out of herself. Picture day was not the typical picture day. Usually, oh, first day of school, close. No, that wasn't her. It was a sad, somber child who was demotivated and did not care to sit in front of a computer for 7 hours. And I can't blame her. I can't stand a computer either. That first week, we had one child that came and her excitement level just accelerated. They did school together. It was wonderful. And then a second child came, 2, 3 kids together. It was wonderful. And then a third, you can't imagine the excitement of all 3 of those kids just being encouraged by each other there together, not isolated, together. None of them wanted to do virtual learning, but they were together. And that's what mattered to them. And it encouraged all of them. And elementary students cannot thrive on virtual learning. They're losing their reading and writing skills by working on computers. They're losing their motivation, their attention, and their focus. We were told to limit the screen time way back when. Now they're required 7 hours a day on the screen. I'm running out of time, so I'm just gonna end with this. I withdrew my child from Barrow County Schools because this is not right. This is not an education for her. She'll be doing homeschool. And I'm here to advocate for all of the children that are left in Barrow County school system that are being cheated out of a fair education. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sanders. Next, we have Ms. Olivia Sherman.
I've changed my mind a couple of times on what I want to talk about. I'm a mother of 3. I think I'll just open with some data because that is what everyone keeps talking about. I work in Head Start in Forsyth County. Forsyth County took a very proactive approach. They have a hybrid school model and they have a website called Restart Forsyth that I've welcomed or invite all of you to review. And today, matter of fact, week 3 in the Forsyth County school system, they have 32 positive cases reported out of 38,947 face-to-face students and staff in schools. So, and 1.8% face-to-face students in quarantine for direct exposure. And that county does not require masks, strongly encouraged, but not required for either staff or students. Now, I'm willing to compromise with those that want those masks. I'm used to it at my work. And I'm willing to send my students back under those conditions, even though I strongly disagree. And I do that because my 3 children all love school. We have wonderful teachers. We love our schools. We love our teachers. They've all been very involved. What your plan does not address properly is that students have been missing out on all of their achievements. My son's in JRTC. He earned his rank. He can't do that. No more volunteering in schools. My elementary age daughter was in TOME. She was on the computer team. She was in choir. She can't do any of those activities. My students have gone from being excited to showing symptoms of anxiety and depression. I'm the kind of parent that turns off TV. We took them to counseling. We didn't talk COVID 24/7, but they're missing that routine. And I want to invite you as you're thinking about those 2 days a week and as parents are trying to struggle with working, because my boss, I work at a Head Start, told me, well, you can't stay at home just because your children are at home. And I know lots of other parents have those challenges to think about the fact that routines, research backs this up, is so important for children. They have to be able to predict what happens. Right now, we're asking students, okay, 2 days a week, come. The next 3 days, here are some assignments. We're challenging teachers to meet the needs of their students when they're in the classroom, when they're online. Teachers are having to answer questions at all hours so they can accommodate parents who work a second shift or a third shift. And they've really done a phenomenal job of trying to meet those needs. But I believe there is that way of having a successful hybrid model, knowing that surrounding counties are doing it in the same pandemic that we're facing. And thankfully, we're not seeing catastrophic results. So I just ask you, as you're thinking of this plan, to really, truly not just look at those few numbers in the yellow and red zone, but to look at the whole picture, the whole student, the family, because the toll this is taking on mental health, unfortunately, that data won't be available to probably next year or the year after and those effects. But I think we would all like to look back and be on the right side of history and think, you know what, I did something that may not have been okay with everyone, but I took a brave choice and I thought about what was best. And I do not believe that our current plan meets that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Rebecca Weaver.
So I have a son. He is a junior in high school. And I am here to tell you his story. You as a collective body destroyed his education. You killed his ambition for continuing with college. He does not want to do school anymore. And you all had a part in this. Every single one of you had the decision to send him back to school, and you chose not to. I don't know why. So I want to tell you what his 12 to 13-hour day looks like, that he does 7 days a week, because your teachers and your directive has made him have so much work that he cannot keep up. So on a typical day, he will spend between 12 and 13 hours a day doing schoolwork. He actively starts at 8 a.m. This is 35 minutes before his first period. But if he does not log on that early, he'll have internet connection issues because the entire county is logging in at the same time. When he finally does get on, the web pages don't load correctly. Now, his first teacher has decided to follow your directive of only meeting twice a week, because you said it was okay for them to have 3 days a week of video recording. So he will sit there and watch videos 3 days a week, navigating through his assignments with little to no help from his teachers. By 9 a.m., he is frustrated with Google Classroom. As often the Google Docs does not open, he has to download it in Word, complete the activity, reload it in Google, and hope that it submits correctly. He often struggles to find these assignments, and the directions are not clear for him to understand. The length of these assignments he finds difficult to complete in 84 minutes. Now, we are barely 2 hours into the school day and he wants to quit and give up. He says, "What's the point of me being here when my teachers don't even bother to show up?" And that's based off of your decision. Second period doesn't go any better because this teacher follows your exact same directions of only meeting twice a week. Her videos are 15 to 20 minutes long, and he can't navigate her pages either. He suffers from headaches daily. He wants to give up daily. Thank you very much for putting that kind of stress on a 17-year-old who has his whole life ahead of him. I hope you remember that the citizens of Barrow will remember this on voting day.
Thank you, Ms. Weaver. And next we have Mr. Sean Weaver.
Hello, I am taxpayer Sean Weaver. I have one kid still in Barrow County Schools. He is currently failing 2 classes. He is failing these 2 classes because his teachers are failing him. I want to know why these teachers are not teaching 5 days a week. Statements that the board, you all, authorized a 2-day-a-week instruction for teachers being paid for 5 days of a week of instruction. It was not until after my wife composed an email to the board describing these teachers as being lazy that we were told that the teachers, when not doing these 2 days of instruction, are available for one-on-one tutoring. Why was this information not released to the parents and the students in the beginning? But seriously, if the teachers have to do one-on-one tutoring with each one of the students, they might as well teach the class. These kids have gotten into a hole from not getting the instruction for their assignments, and some are not wanting to do the extra work required to get back out of the hole. And by the example these so-called teachers are setting of doing the bare minimum of what is required, why would they want to do the extra work? They are seeing firsthand bare minimum is sufficient from their school board to provide them with the education they were told they were going to receive. The overload of assignment drops on these kids without instruction or confirmation that the students understand how to do the assignments is brutal. My child is currently trying to educate himself on a lot of these assignments, working 12 hours a day on schoolwork from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. when we have to tell him to put it away. As a current college student myself, taking online courses, our professors, when they assign assignments, they go over the assignments to make sure that we understand what we are to be doing on the assignment. After the assignment, we review the assignment to make sure that we understood the material that was covered. In the Army, we had what is called after-action reviews. These were essential so that everyone learned what worked and what did not work during the situation, exercise, or engagement that was taking place. The review is where you learn from the mistakes and can plan better for the next obstacle. This is no different than school. If the kids are not seeing where they messed up and are not being instructed on how to correct the problem, they will continue to make the same errors. Let's do better for the kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler. First of all, I want to thank all of you for coming here tonight. I know that it's been hard for you, I really do. And I can tell you that this whole board hears you, and we're as frustrated as you are, truly. So at this point, we're going to take a 5-minute break. If you want to leave, you certainly can. If you want to stay for the rest of the board meeting, that's fine too. It's up to you. So we'll take a 5-minute break at this point. Go to the superintendent's department reports. Dr. Green, do you have anything?
I do not, Ms. Stevens.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Houston, business services.
All right, this is our SPLOST revenues for the month of August 2020. $1,281,087.03. That is a 10% increase from the same amount of time the previous year. And as you can see, 20% for 2018, 29.4% increase for 2017, 38.7% for 16, and 40.5% for 2015, same time period. The next report is our summary of finances for the month of August. So we're at 17% of the year. So we always want our revenues to be more than 17% and our expenses to be less than 17%. Of course, our revenues are not there yet because we have not received any tax, property tax money. Our fund balance as of August 31st is $28,402,000. Our total revenues year to date is $16,464,000. Our total expenditures year to date, $21.4 million. And our total revenues for the month, $7.5 million, and expenditures for the month, $11.8 million. And then we have the detail behind it. If y'all have any questions at all, just let me know.
Does anybody have any questions at this point? We're still operating in the black, so I guess that's good.
That is good news.
Thank you, Ms. Houston. System operations report, Mr. Perno.
Yes, ma'am, nothing to add to our report.
All right, thank you. And Dr. Moon.
No additional information.
Thank you very much. Planning and personnel, Ms. Beggs.
Not at this time.
All right, very good. All right, under consent agenda tonight, we have the policies that we discussed in the work session. There are 13 of them. I'll go over these just briefly. Policy IHF 6, graduation requirements. The superintendent recommends moving that policy from public review and approving said policy. Policy revision EE food services management. The superintendent recommends removing policy EE food services management from public review and approving said policy. Number 3 is Google licensing. Superintendent recommends authorizing the purchase of Google premium licensing from low bid respondent Soft Choice of Chicago, Illinois in the amount of $27,954.93 for 1 year's access. Elevation software, the superintendent recommends authorizing the purchase of Elevation and Elevation Strategies, a sole source provider. The term of the contract is 1 year. Based on yearly satisfaction of the product, we would also like permission to renew up to a maximum of 3 years. Number 5 is pest control services. Superintendent recommends entering into a contract with Busy Bee in an annual amount not to exceed $25,286 for the control of pests, insects, and rodents at all properties per RFP specifications. Item 6 is a CTAE local plan, the state and federal grant. Superintendent respectfully submits for approval of the CTAE local plan for federal and state grants. Number 7 is band instruments purchase and repair. Superintendent recommends authorizing the repair and purchase of instruments not to exceed $90,051 using Title IV Part A funds. Number 8 is the units of study text. Superintendent recommends authorizing the purchase of printed text for all K through 8 reading classrooms not to exceed $288,000 from sole source providers or lowest quote bid from non-sale source providers if orders with one vendor exceed $5,000. Number 9 is RAS Plus subscription. Superintendent recommends authorizing the purchase of RAS Plus electronic resources for all K-5 students district-wide from Learning A to Z, a sole source provider. Item 10 is the bond bus bid. The superintendent recommends approval of 2 stock 72 passenger buses without air conditioning from Rush Enterprises and 1 new bus, 72 passenger bus from Rush Enterprises for a total of 3 buses based on overall quality of the bid, including after the sales service. Item 11 is replacement of the bus radio system. The superintendent recommends approval of the low bid of Alpha Communications for digital bus radios, handhelds, repeaters, and so forth, in the amount of $115,622.50. Item 12 is the Exemplary Committee Assessment Review. The Exemplary Committee has reviewed the results of the same self-assessment used by the board and recommends approval of the committee's work. Item 13 is a 2021 board training plan. The superintendent recommends approval of the 2021 local school board governance team training plan as presented. I'm gonna need a motion and a second to move these from this consent agenda.
So moved.
Ms. Kraus.
Second.
Made the motion, Mr. Rayford made the second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you, it's unanimous. I can see Dr. up there too. So. All right, at this point, we'll need an authorization for committees to meet. Ms. Kelly made the motion. Ms. Kraus made the second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you. At this time, we'll need to go into executive session to discuss or deliberate upon the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action, or dismissal, or periodic evaluation or rating of a public officer or employee, or to interview applicants for the position of superintendent.
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Randall?
Yes.
Mr. Randall?
Yes.
Ms. Stevens, yes. Ms. Kelly? Yes. Ms. Malou?
Yes.
And,
Yes.
Ms. Kraus, yes. All right, very good.
And
And Dr. Huff, is that a yes? Very good. All right, well, at this time, we'll go into executive session.
That was a yes, Ms. Stevens.